So we've built the assembly of the pulley. So what we want to do now is to look at how to create an assembly drawing from it with a bill of materials. And to help us with our bill of materials, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the individual parts, and then we're going to configure some properties within the parts, custom properties that will help us with our bill of materials later on. So what I'm going to do for now is minimize this down, and I'm going to open up my bracket. So there's my bracket, and we saw it with drawings. We looked at custom properties in drawings, and we've configured within here some custom properties. So we've got the material, which we've specified, and we've got the weight, which is a standard calculation done by SolidWorks. I want to now give it a part number and a name. So I'm just going to give it a simple part number. I'm just going to call it a pulley bracket. And I want to give it a part number. So I'm going to do my part number based on the physical size of the bracket. So to help me do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a look at, let me close this a second. I'm going to get my sizes. So I'm going to measure, my bracket is 140 by 86 by 10. So I've got my physical sizes, and all I've used is the evaluate and measure tool. So I'll go back into my properties box, and didn't save. I'll get my part number, so I'm going to call it 140 by 86 by 10. I'm going to get a part number. Quite often we'll find part numbers like that, and I'm going to call it, as I said earlier, my pulley bracket. And if I click OK, so I've now got a configuration for that. So I'm going to minimize this one back down. I'm going to open up now my my pulley itself. Well, my pulley is a 70 diameter. I know that. I'll just double check it from the drawing, but it's a 70 diameter, and it's got a 15mm hole. And I know that this is a 12mm radius, but I can check it. I can just measure from there to there, and it'll give me that. It's not giving me that how I wanted, but I know it's a 12. Okay, it's a 12 radius from the drawing. So I'm going to give this a property. It's pulley. I'm going to call it a 70, 15, 12. That'll configure it. Now I can use these configurations in an Excel output later on if I wanted to, and that would allow me then to create maybe tables and custom tables. So my pin is 15 diameter by 45. So I'm going to do my properties. I'm going to call it my a 1540, and I'm just going to call it a pin. Minimize that down, and the last thing I'm going to have is my washer. My washer, well, that's 25, 15 and 6. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to call it 15, 25, 6. Actually done this previously, but it should be a 25, 15, 6. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. So that's all my 3 parts now, all my 4 parts configured. So I'm going to go back to my pulley. My pulley will have updated. I'm going to rebuild it. And now what I want to do is to create a drawing of it. So like I've done previously, I'm going to go and find my drawing template. There's my drawing template. And once more, over in my view palette, I'm going to find the part that I want. So it's called a pulley assembly. And it's there. Now, my pulley assembly shows me all of my parts, my isometric, plus my exploded view. So for now, what I want to do is just to create some views of it. So what we'll do is we'll create a few different views and see what we can come up with. So we'll pull in the front view. Let's pull in the front view. It's not very large. Project up, and we'll create our view up there. I'll just show you some different things that we can do with this view now. Okay, and I can pull in as well an isometric view if I wanted to, and again, once these really should have hidden details, so there's lots of hidden details, and my isometric view is there rendered. I can change the scale of it, maybe make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Yeah, quite often I can have different scales within my drawing. I'm going to drag these down a little bit, and I'm going to leave it like that. So this is an assembly drawing. It shows how the parts go together. You can see there's a lot of detail in it, and lots of detail with the pins showing in there. And things here. Okay, so I'm going to need to put in some center marks, so I need to put in the center marks for these holes. Okay, and I need to put center lines in. There's lots of center lines in this view, so I just click selected view, click that view, put my center lines in as well. So there's one way of showing my assembly view. I don't really intend to dimension assemblies. I could put in critical dimensions if I wanted to. Actually, center mark could go in for the pulley. I could put in critical dimensions if I wanted to, but that's an assembly drawing there. Now, to go with my assembly drawing, I tend to put in something called a bill of materials, and my bill of materials is a table that shows all my parts. So what I can do is I can select my view, annotations, tables, bill of materials, standard bill of materials, parts only, and I drag in my table, and I can drop my table in the corner there, and my part numbers are here. Actually, I want to change this, so if I click on this cell, on this column, change properties, custom properties, part name. Okay, there isn't a part name going in now for the pin. I can go back and I'll put that in later on. Highlight my description, custom my properties. Well, what do I want? Well, I want my part number. Okay. What else do I need? Well, I could do with putting in the materials that things are made from. So if I highlight, if I go just clicking one cell, right click, insert, same as when I do it with Microsoft Excel, to the right, column to the right, and we'll put in there materials. Fits in. I can change the cell size, so I can make it bigger, just dragging it. And once more, I want to click in here, insert, column to the right, and we'll have weight. Now, part name, well, there's nothing in here. If I double click in there, I can just put in there what I want it to be and call it the spring pin. Yeah, I can give it a part number. Actually, if I go over here, I might be able to pick up what the part number is. We'll base it on that. We'll just call it an ISO 8752. Yes. ISO 8752. Okay, quantity, hard steel. And you can modify this as much as you like. Yeah. There we go. Steel. And I don't need the weight to it, it's tiny weight. So I've got that, but these now have part numbers, and I want to be able to link those part numbers to the views that I've got. So I'm going to drag my view down a little bit, make sure that my view is highlighted, come up to balloon, and I'll go to balloon, and it will automatically balloon the component for me. Now I can move the positions of these things, I can move them down, I can move them up and in. I've got a magnetic line here, so the magnetic line just allows me to move it to where I want it to be. And there's my parts labelled, and they're consistent. Yeah, pulley bracket, pulley, pin. Okay, consistent with that. If you've got any doubt that you can't see things clearly, you can actually move the positions of these as well. Okay. So at the moment it's touching an edge. If I grab the leader, and let's see if I can grab the end of the leader and just drag it in and drop it there, it'll change to a dot rather than an arrow. Okay. That's because it's on a surface and not an edge, and it's sometimes easier to do that. So that, for instance, this is really not showing pin clearly. Just dragging the lines in, grabbing the dot, there we go, dot done. So I've done that. So I can save this now, save as. Yeah, I'll call it my assembly drawing one. Now, if this is the type of parts list that I want to have in future, what I can do, I'm going to just tidy this up just to make it look a little bit neater, and it's fine as it is. So this is my standards part list now that I want every time I want to fetch into an assembly drawing. So I click on my parts list, right click, save as. What I can do is save it as my assembly parts list. So I'm going to call it my I'll call it SP, and it's called a bill of materials bomb. Save. So the next time I'm just going to delete this, just test it. So the next time I want to fetch in an assembly parts list now, if I go here, annotate table, bill of materials, I can look for the part list that I want. So it's found the one, which is the last one I've used. When I click on that and drag it in, there's my parts list based on that. Okay. Again, I have to now just edit it so that it fits in. But that's my parts list now, completed, ready to be used. I can change the way my parts list appears. Obviously, I can center everything. Okay, I can have different formats of text and things like that. So yeah, I can do that. But at the moment, now that's my parts list. Okay, and it's done and it's formatted. My balloons reference back to my parts list. Save my drawing again. So the last thing to do is obviously fill in your details down here. So I go up here, yeah, drawn by, put a date in, 19th, 12th, 17, yeah, description, I don't know, pull the assembly, and drawing number, I don't know, we'll just call it exercise 04, and this isn't the material because the materials are all linked into my parts up here, and that's my view done there. So that's one way of creating an assembly drawing. But I could sort of look at it and do it in slightly different ways, and some of the ways that we need to do is we'll have a look at quite a couple of other ways that we can do things now. So I'm going to close that one down, and again what I'll do is I'm just going to open up, I should be able to just go browse recent now, my drawing template, there's my drawing template, okay, I'll save as, and I'm going to call this exercise 05, let's just say that, okay, just for now. So over here on my right hand side again, I'm going to find my assembly, and I'm going to draw in first my top view, and I'm going to project down my front view, and I'm going to leave it there. What I'm going to do, we can create a section view on this front view. So I'm going to go over to section view, vertical section view, pick the center point there, it'll pick it for me, and I want to make sure that auto hatching's on, exclude the fastenings, and show any excluded fastenings. So fastenings will be nuts, bolts, pins, things like that, and we won't hatch them. It'll be done in the correct manner. I'll click OK, and there we go. You can see my view. I'm going to drag my view over, and I'm just going to click on it there. Okay, actually want it to be section view A, so I'm going to change that to A, and that's my view done. Now, that's very neat, it's very tidy, it's 3 views. And so I could leave it like that, so I'm just going to drag it across like that. And it might be easier to see it. So let's zoom in. And there's my view, all sectioned, the pin not sectioned. I can change the way that the sectioning appears. I just want to show you how to do that. So for instance, you can't really see the sections here in the washer. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to right click on, I'm going to click on the section, and it'll come up like that. And what I want to do is I just want to change it. So I'm going to uncheck the material, and I'm going to tell it to do it at 0.5. And yeah, it could be better. So I'm going to go to it again. 0.25. Nope. Let's try going the other way. 2, 3. There we go. So I can see more hatch lines in there now. And my problem is that these hatch lines correspond to these hatch lines. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reverse them by putting 90 degrees in. And now my hatch lines are clearer and easier to see maybe than that. Okay. So done that. Save it again. So what we'll do, we'll just create a very, very simple balloon reference for this. We'll auto balloon this bit. There we go, my balloon references are done. And I can leave them as they are. I can move them around. So if I click on this, yeah, this is on a, like I say, magnetic line. I can move them individually if I want to within my line. Move my text down there. Move this one as an individual. Pick it up with my mouse, it'd be easier. Just don't want to move. There we go. So it's done like that. Okay, that's done. Bring this down a little bit. Bring this down a little bit. Now what we'll do, move this up a bit. Just show you a different way of putting a table in, maybe. Okay. So pick up my part. I'll put my table in again now. My bill of materials. It's my standard one. Drag it in. I'm going to drop it now. Here, I want to attach it if I can to the corner. It really has to does want to try and attach it to a corner like that. Now, parts lists, if they're up the top, item numbers read down. If it's on the bottom, it goes the other way. So what I can do is I can change the position of the header, so it's now in the right method like that. Okay. So there's my parts list. It's all attached. It's all done. I can modify it again. I can add my part. I can save it. I could, if I wanted to, bring in an isometric or a different type of view. Okay, and I could do that. There is something else I could do, which maybe gets me away from my isometric view. And this is something which is a little bit on the advanced side. We'll just show you. If I go to this view, I'll right click, and I make an isometric section view of it. It actually turns it into an isometric section view for me. And I can then change the scale of that view as well. And so I've got my isometric section view. I'm just going to fetch my text up there like that. Okay. I can also move it around. At the moment it's linked to that part. If I go right click again, and then I go to alignment and break alignment. Now this part allows me to move it freely around. So it's just another way of presenting a drawing, an assembly drawing with information on it. So it's just another method of doing it. And it's quite a nice clear way of seeing things in an isometric view like that. So again, I'd save that. And I've now got my information, fill in my drawing details and away to go. So the final option, okay, so I'm going to close it down again. I'm going to open up that drawing, browse recent, show you one more last thing. And one of the things that we did, we created pulley assembly. We created an exploded view, and I can drag my exploded view in. And again, I can change the scale of my exploded view so it fits my drawing a bit more. And I can still put my auto balloon in. Now, it might need a little bit of working on this. Okay. So if I zoom into this part, pick on the individual line, move it up, move it down, pick on the individual point, move that one to there. Don't like that one there. Just tidying, this is just literally tidying the drawing up, just making the drawing a little bit neater, presentable. Move it, and I tend to put it onto there, and this one I would probably move to there. Job done. So there's my parts. Happy with that. Pick on my view. Can I move my view? Yes, I can. I move it over there to like that. Highlight my view. Table. Bill of materials. Bring my bill of materials in. But it doesn't fit in there. Will it fit in there? Yes, it will. So I'll fetch it down, and I'll fetch it down there. And what we said again, we can highlight the bill of materials, change the header position, fill in the last bit we need, and there's another assembly drawing, another way of presenting an assembly drawing. And I'll just save that as save as exploded. So there's a number of ways in which we can create assembly drawings and add information into them. So hopefully that's shown you how to do that, and we'll go on and have a look at some more advanced assemblies, some advanced assembly techniques, and a few more drawing techniques as well later on. That's for now.